Good Thursday morning, everyone. I'm your forecaster, Francis Tarasowitz, here with another video edition of the Francast. I hope you're all doing well. I've got quite the video for you today. The first part of it, I'm going to be looking at the next couple of days and into your holiday travel weekend. And then for the next part, I'm going to be looking a little bit more into the long-range forecast. I do foresee some changes, but before we get to that, we're going to start right here with the current conditions across the area. Currently, we have temperatures ranging from the lower to mid-40s across the coastline, some upper 40s, low 40s across southern New England coast, all the way to the middle and lower 20s across southern or central New England, excuse me. Southern New England generally in the low to mid 30s. Looking at our visible satellite, we see that we began to build some clouds yesterday, all ahead of a area of low pressure, and now we see those clouds again remaining over the area, keeping temperatures in the lower to middle 30s, keeping them pretty stable for the day. We'll see a bit of warming as the clouds begin to wane, and we'll get above the freezing point. I think for everyone, south of southern Vermont, I think everyone will see 32 plus. So this snow and rain activity should generally transition over towards liquid precip. Again, rain being the main theme here. We can see that really unfold here with our short-range model. This is the high-res rapid refresh model, the HRRR. Generally, I don't like to use this model, but I think it has a pretty good handle on today's weak system. Again, a 1012 millibar low-pressure center. Nothing really too big to write home about. It'll cause some travel disruptions, especially across southern and central Vermont, New Hampshire, and much of the North Country. You can get a coating to 2 inches today, but really not a big deal. We see it really clearing out by 12 p.m. across most of southern New England. Maybe some light snow showers to the hills of northern Massachusetts, but really not a big deal by any means. Again, we have some of that wraparound snow affecting Vermont because we're going to be in a slightly cyclonic flow for the rest of the day. But again, we should see that break down as our storm system departs. And that's about it to talk about for that part of the forecast. Really not a big washout event by any means, just some light showers today, drizzle. Watch out tonight though, temperatures will become cooler as we have some cooler air off to our west. These are 850 millibar temperatures. 850 millibars is a height that we look at, as forecasters look at. Generally, this is about 5,000 feet, so these are temperatures at 5,000 feet. And we can see some cooler temperatures beginning to filter in. So again, black ice may be an issue tonight for any of these standing puddles or wet roadways. So you do want to be mindful of that. Otherwise, commute is looking good for the rest of the day into the evening. Alright, now taking a look at the national perspective for your holiday weekend. I know a lot of people are traveling on this very busy holiday season. We're going to see today's storm slide south and east. So this is all according to the GFS model. So we're going to see today's storm sliding south and east out to sea, really not harming anyone. Except for maybe northern New England, a couple of inches of snow. Could make things a bit slick for them. But we see high pressure developing for tomorrow. A cool day with a busy northerly wind. Maybe some clouds as well. Kind of a nasty day to be outside, but a good day to travel. It'll be dry, so if you want to get those travel plans in, things are looking good. Trouble does arrive for your Saturday. Let's go out in time here, and we see by midday Saturday a warm front actually passing through the region. And we can really see, light snow accumulations again across northern New England. Generally, rain and snow and sleet transitioning over to rain fairly quickly for most of us for your day on Saturday. So I don't really think there should be any, travel concerns there. Maybe a few wet roads, but really nothing to write home about. Looking ahead, this would be Christmas Eve for most of us. We have a storm rapidly developing across the southern plains. We can see this originating from the Four Corners region, tracking north and east. So we have, again, blizzard conditions across most of the north-central United States with some severe weather ahead of this thing. This is going to be the big travel impactor, but luckily staying away from southern New England for Christmas Eve and when everyone is really traveling the most. Again, you see these isobars here tightly packed, indicating very windy conditions with a heavy snow. And then out ahead of this, you see how this is more linear in nature. This would be a squall line going through, let's see, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and maybe Texas. Some severe weather likely with that. We'll go towards our mesoscale model, the NAM 4 kilometer. Go into the older run, and it doesn't show it because it doesn't go out that far. That's a little embarrassing. Alright, I guess we won't go to our mesoscale models. I guess it's a little too far out for our short-range models to detect, but if you are traveling into the center of the country, or if you find yourself traveling to North Dakota or northern Minnesota, you really want to plan ahead, plan some extra travel time, because this storm is going to mean business. It's going to crank, and it's going to move east, generally, with its cold front arriving, Christmas evening. But really, again, this should be more wet than white. I really don't have any concerns about any frozen precipitation falling across the region. Just a period of moderate rain and some strong southerly winds. And then we see this all clear out for your day after Christmas. We see some cool northwesterly winds developing. You see these isobars are getting very tightly packed, with some lake effect snow possible across the usual lake effect belts. Alright, there's your Christmas travel plans and your Christmas travel forecast. Again, highlights are your travel across New England should be fine for your Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The only real trouble spot across the country would be the northern plains, where you could have quite the blizzard going on, and across the central and southern plains, where we have the potential for some severe weather, especially across Oklahoma and Kansas and Missouri. We're going to keep an eye on that for you. Now let's get into the long range, my favorite part of this forecast. Alright, and for our final part of this video, we're going to be looking at the longer range forecast. I'm going to be looking through the next week or so by analyzing what's called the 500 millibar heights. Basically, this is 18,000 feet in the atmosphere. If you think about it, temperatures and atmospheric heights have a lot to do with one another. The warmer the temperature is, the higher these heights are, and the more reds you see, and the cooler the temperatures are, the lower these heights are, and the more blues you see, basically. So again, we'll see a lot of reds across the United States. Generally, things are pretty mild across much of the country, slightly above average. However, by this weekend, we're going to see those above-average anomalies really start to develop, especially across the central and eastern parts of the country. We see quite the trough over the western United States. This trough will be responsible for generating a storm system that'll ride the gradient here and go into southern Canada by the beginning of next week. Not after, as I mentioned earlier, producing severe weather across the southern plains and blizzard conditions across much of the northern part of the country. Going in, this would be Christmas Eve. We're going into Christmas Day now. This would be right after Christmas Day. We have the southeast ridge here, these area of really significantly high heights. Again, pumping subtropical air out ahead of this system right here, this area of lower heights you see. So we generally have like a trough. Let me draw this out for you here. So we have this trough here developing there, and we have this ridge here. So we'll have cooler conditions here, and then warm conditions wrapping around this area of subtropical high pressure into the east coast, especially out ahead of this guy. All right, if we continue to go out in time here. We see this ridge sort of flatten out by the beginning of your day on Tuesday. Still pretty impressive signal for warmth, especially across the southeast. I think Florida into the Carolinas, Georgia and the southeast, you could really start to see record temperatures potentially. Upper and middle 80s actually across Florida looks likely for your Christmas Day. However, I do see this pattern changing. I do see it flipping back to more of what we saw to begin your December. I'll show you what I mean here. We're going on to early next week. We can see this ridge really flattening, really not looking as impressive as it did, and we see a reserve of cold air developing across much of the western North America. And watch this guy, this ridge right here. This is a very important feature. As we see this develop and strengthen, let me get out of this draw tool here. We really see it begin to develop and strengthen. Again, these are those really positive anomalies. This is really what you want to see, snow lovers. You see this area of blocking up here across the Bering Sea ridge, and then we see, as a result, cold air just kind of drops south into the plain states and start to propagate eastward, and I'll show you that with the next frame of this model. Again, this is the ensemble, so it's the average of many European model runs. By the end of next week, this would be Thursday evening at around 8 p.m., we finally see the pattern that snow lovers like myself look for. We have a huge ridge developing across the Bering Sea, a trough, and then a responding ridge across the western United States, and then another trough, a deep trough, across the central and eastern areas of the United States, with another ridge developing over eastern Canada. And this pattern looks to continue. It looks to have some staying power, as we head into next weekend. Again, still, we see that ridge of high pressure right there, another ridge developing south of Greenland. This would be your negative NAO. I know a lot of snow lovers look for that. And then this would be your negative, it's called the Eastern Pacific Oscillation, but I won't get into those details. It's a bit too nerdy even for me right now. Again, generally tranquil conditions across the southern and central United States, with this trough really digging south into the northeast U.S. So again, snow potential, cold temperatures. We'll look at our temperatures actually at 5,000 feet, and we'll go back in time here. We will go through the beginning of this week. This is actually back in time. There we are. So we see again our significant warm anomalies as the ridge develops, really spreading eastward and really blossoming as you get into your Christmas. Again, these are areas where 12 degrees plus above normal. Quite the warm Christmas for a lot of us. We have the return flow around that high pressure, dumping warm air ahead of this system right here. So again, behind the system we have a rush of cool air, and ahead of it, warmer air. This would be starting Tuesday. This would be Christmas. And as we go out in time, we see the cool anomaly. Some cool anomalies starting to develop behind that area of low pressure, and I think we have to wait yet another day, with some slightly warmer anomalies, again with some general ridging across the eastern United States. But again, note back here, we are seeing that cold air build and build and build, and that's what you want to see if you want to get back into a cool pattern, if you will. We'll go back. And we will not lose this tab. That's awesome. Get out of this drawing tool here. Spoiler alert there. So we go into our early into Friday. Again, we see these warm anomalies retreating out. They're really moving out, being replaced by these cold anomalies, generally from the northern part of the North Pole down into the Central Plains. We see cold air and cold anomalies really begin to dominate our weather pattern. And as we go out into the day, this will be Friday evening into Saturday, we really see those cold anomalies take control of the eastern United States. Shots of cold air directly from the Arctic. Again, a cold air mass. Definitely more like winter and what you would normally expect for this time of year. And continuing out into early next week, we can see those anomalies continue. If you want to look at it even further, we're going to look at the GEFS. This is the American model. This is, again, many runs of the American model averaged out over time. We see those cold anomalies continue and continue and continue. The signals for cold air are really looking good in the long range. Again, you have warm air developing over Alaska that displaces a lobe of the polar vortex to the south. And I really do think that we'll have some sustained cold, after this week. So again, if you love the warmth and tranquil weather, really try to enjoy the next few days, Enjoy your Christmas travel, holiday travel, whatever you're traveling for. Hope you get to your destination safely. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions at all, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Happy holidays, everyone.